Hello.
Hello.
All right, everybody. I'm Kyleen McHenry, and today we have David Kain. And welcome to the Amalia Chronicles channel. Woohoo! Slowly doing some more
Welcome,
stuff on the
welcome.
YouTube.
Yeah,
So, David, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
sure thing. So, yeah, I'm a writer based in the northeast of England, just outside of Newcastle, and I do screenwriting, I do prose writing. I've started dabbling poetry, which is really weird and pretty much entirely a consequence of working on Amalia, which I should say no one asked me to do, but I just sort of started doing it. And no one's complained or forcibly stopped me yet, so that's something. Um, so I love writing. Love constantly trying to get better and better. Did my PhD and masters in Newcastle at Newcastle University and Northumbria University. So really attached to the place as well. And yeah, I really enjoy working with different filmmakers on different sort of projects. And that is exactly how I got involved with Amalia.
Yeah, and, I'm so glad you applied to the random backstage post that I did. That was. It's been already a year and a half because
Yeah,
that
I
was back in
troll those
September. Oh,
things. Yeah, I remember the interview because it was you and Noah, and you. One of the questions you asked that I remember was, "What do you know about dark fantasy?" And my only response was, "Well, I really like Berserk and A Song of Ice and Fire," and that was like me and you for 5 minutes just talking about Berserk. So it was a good kind of first encounter.
I do love Berserk, and I do love A Song
Yeah,
of Ice and Fire. That's one of the comps for the whole universe.
yeah, no, it worked out.
It was fun. I remember I interviewed probably about almost 100 writers. Not all of them made it to like the one with Noah and I, but
Yeah,
I talked to like a lot of people. And I was very, very particular because I was like, the writers that I'm hiring is for everything, not just,
yeah.
the season. No, I want someone people that can be on for like the whole run because I knew this was going to be a massive endeavor. I mean, it took
You're
me
right
like
there.
20
Yeah,
years to
it's
even write
fair.
it. It took 20 years though, like to finally get to this point.
I do love that we have sort of got. I've got so used to just hearing the Phil Leotardo from The Sopranos thing to 20 years. Oh,
I don't see it that often though.
no, I think it's just
It
because
just
I'm
feels like
involved
it.
in. I just get looped into so much communication, so I tend to get because I just get CC'd into stuff.
Oh yeah,
So
because I
yeah, I
did.
just
Yeah, we're still casting some like our major people. So yeah,
yeah.
you there's a lot of people, and David now is not only one of the co-creators and head writer for the writers room, but he technically is my successor when it comes to this project. If anything
Oh
happens to
yeah,
me, it's all yours.
that was the most. Forget the 20 years thing. That's the most mob family thing that has happened to me on this show. Amidst a whole load of mob family stuff, has just been Kai at one point in a meeting saying, "Oh, if I die, David takes over the crew." It's like, yeah, that'll work out great from Gateshead in the UK. 5 hours ahead of 5 hours ahead of you, 7 hours ahead of everyone else. So I'm very invested in you staying alive. If
Actually,
yeah,
8 hours ahead of everybody else because I'm 3 hours ahead of all the people from LA.
yeah. So yeah, happy birthday. Please stay alive.
Thank you, and I plan on it.
That's good.
I need to see this thing come to life, or I will cry. I
I
will
also
be one
love
of
my
those spirits that just like haunt everybody. Like, is this going?
yeah, yeah, everyone else just gets the Victorian people just sort of going, avenge me, avenge me. I'll have you just hovering around, sort of going, so yeah, how's season 2 coming along? I also like how when I said please stay alive, the second of my 2 lights that I had set up just went out. So I'm sure that's like nothing to read into. Um, this is like when I worked on, it's like when I was on set for the horror movie Mother's Legacy, and at one stage, unprompted, a crucifix just fell off the wall. And
What?
yeah, I think, and what I loved was the reaction to it was just so like patently Northeast, because there was a second where all of us just had the same thought of, oh no, and then instantly started laughing and cracking jokes about it. So it's like there needs to be more Northeast horror movies, is what I'm really pitching, and not just because it means I wouldn't have to travel.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about that, since that's your baby project? One of?
Yeah. So I've got two things that are completed. One, I have sort of advertised quite a lot on Instagram, is The City Is Ours, which is one of the first kind of like big jobs I got on, also through Backstage, and I think or one of the sort of entities that it's now sort of like merged with. And that was a crime series set in the north of England, which was really cool to work on. And I did, out of the 12 episodes, I wrote 1, 2, and 3. So I got to introduce it, and then did 12. So I'd kind of read everything the other writers did and then got to draw it into a conclusion. And that was so much fun because that had quite a lot of kind of Soprano stuff in it, but also sort of more, I guess, for UK viewers, like Line of Duty and some like bit of Life on Mars kind of style to it as well. So that was a lot of fun to work on. And I got to be on set and also I was supposed to be kind of in it anyway as a mourner, because we needed people to kind of fill up. And they said, anybody who can make the drive or anything, please come, be on set, see it being filmed, and then just be here for the funeral scene in respectable black clothing. So I was coming along for that. And then I'd met up with the crew that were going to be shooting for the day. And one of the actors playing the bodyguard couldn't make it. And I was chatting with someone who'd worked with the BBC. So I was getting some sort of any kind of like help that advice they were able to give. And I just heard out of the corner of my ear, someone just go, well, David's wearing a suit. And I sort of turned around with a coffee going, I'm sorry, what are we talking about here? And sort of smash cut to me standing in the absolutely pouring rain as this unprepared mob thug, which is my first role ever on screen, which is so fun. And especially as at one point, my wife, when we were first starting to go out, actually said, so you're not in the mafia? And it was just, nope. So now technically there's a fictional version of me who is in the mafia as a bodyguard, which is really fun to add to that lore. And then, yeah, Mother's Legacy is a horror movie kind of based around grief and abuse and kind of the lingering sort of like trauma that you can get from your parents, but it's also a full-on horror movie. So like psychological tricks, can you trust your own mind? It's very kind of, it tries to sort of like cross the line, it tries to do things differently. So we were very, not anti-jump scare, but we want to do different kind of jump scares. Like, yeah, I see a lot of them. So we're trying to do different things and really mess with the system. And it's very transgressive as a horror movie. And we're working with really creative people, which was fantastic. And like the filmmaker at one point, like changed one scene in the script to something else. And he told me the idea. And I was there sitting there going, yeah, no, this is better. This is fantastic. So that is hopefully coming out soon. It's entirely completed filming. We're just literally waiting for the screening and the release. So that is really exciting. No, it was supposed to, and then it kind of got moved back. And the latest thing I've heard is they want to double bill it with something. So possibly we're waiting for that to get done. And I'm just going to get the call and jump in the car and drive to the screening. And that will be, I think, I've been sort of offered like, oh, do you want to just come around and see it? And I've said, no, if we're going to see it, I'm going to see it on that big screen in that venue. And then just be insufferable for a week afterwards. So that's the plan.
A jump scare movie. Well, looks like I'll have something to tournament my psyche. Oh, okay.
I mean, yes. It crosses the line. We really try to go for that. And it was originally supposed to be, it was a 15-minute movie, like short as part of an anthology, but then it just kind of expanded more and more and more until it's a feature-length thing. And adding, because it jumped to, I got asked, oh, could you make it half an hour? And then got asked, oh, could you make it this long? So adding little bits in as we went was really interesting, because then we were saying, okay, what can we add in and how do we need to thread that through and make adjustments? So it was a really good screenwriting exercise. And that was a really interesting thing to work on. So I cannot wait to see it, but I loved the experience of working on it. And the people involved are all absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, speaking of adjusting scripts, the amount of versions we went through for the film. Like first it was supposed to be
Uh,
the pilot, and then they were like, "Oh no, we only invest in film." So it's like you and I and the rest of the writers were just like, "Okay, let's get this done." And then they're like, "Oh no, it's too long in this part. It's too short in this stuff." And like we kept having to we're finally on version 5, which is our filming script. We finally were like,
yeah.
"This is what we're doing."
Which I think is like, you know, if we're getting it right on 5, which I think it is, I think that was kind of a respectable number. Because I remember getting that call, and it was all of us kind of on the call, and it was coming up with a game plan. I was making dinner when I joined that call. So if there's not a recording of it, but you can hear me making curry in the background, and just occasionally I would try to strategically mute, but occasionally you can just hear like sizzling of meat as I'm trying to sort of also like give a suggestion. But yeah, we got to the point where we took that idea and we added the character. We took a random character and we made him into the kind of like much more major player, and that really changed not just the film, the idea that became the film, but yeah, it's had an impact on the entire series as well, and it's even crept into the books, which is insane. So I always kind of I see people on Instagram, like writers especially, will say, "Oh, the character," you know, when your characters keep insisting on changing the story. And I don't think I've ever had such a case of it where it was this, where we invent this guy and it was our fault, but we kept just going, well, this could work, and now this could work, and now this could work. And we just kept inventing and improvising, and then we put it all together in a plan.
Yeah, for anyone that's listening, Raphael, who's our actually lead
Yeah,
villain for the film, this we're talking about him. He was originally supposed to be
yeah.
like a kill-away character in episode 2, but we ended up
One
morphing
scene.
him for the film. Yeah, one scene.
One
And he
scene,
ended
no
up being
name.
the lead of a film and a recurring character in the show.
Yeah. So, and yeah, like had the opportunity to sit in a few Zoom calls with the actor Chris Barnett, and both of us made a pact to see who can drink more coffee than the other one when we're on set, which will be really fun and not at all damaging at all to the budget or us.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, it's great content. I'm gonna watch it. Even if I don't record it, I'm gonna watch this.
yeah,
I'll
not
just
even
be
going out to
sipping my
anybody,
soda in the background.
just content for the crew as me and him just get locked in caffeine battle.
I thought it was so funny when you said you would be okay just coming on set and just making everyone espressos just so you could be there.
Yeah,
I remember that the first time you mentioned it.
I worked as a barista in so many places, so I sort of, and even when people come around to the flat, it's always like I default to being like, "Oh, let me make you a fancy coffee." So, which is bad if you're
I
a
already
PhD because it means like people all like, "Oh, let's not study at the university. Let's go around to David's apartment and drink his coffee, and then later open his wine." And it's like, no, this is fun. This is a great day. It would be great if I had that idea, but yeah, and no work gets done.
That's one. That's one. I can't wait until we're actually on set with everybody and filming because it's like
yeah,
that energy because everyone is so passionate about filmmaking and those that I've talked to
yeah,
about the project, everyone's been super hyped for it. Like it literally brings me to tears. Like David can attest to this. Like
yeah.
I've literally stopped in some meetings just to cry because I'm so happy with like the positive feedback that everyone's been giving. And I'm happening now. Dang it. Not on live.
It was when we were going through Siegfried's voice samples that Pablo did, and I just got a message from you going, "I listened to 2 and I'm crying, and you're using that one to make the monologue." And I listened to it and I was like, "Yeah, that's fair." So that one's gone out,
It
which
just
is I think the second thing that went out. So the first one was Sophie, then it was Siegfried, and I think then we did some of the Augustine lessons.
And like I will say,
Yeah,
every time we mention Siegfried, pretty much, he is my favorite character from the very beginning of conception. And I am feeling so bad for Pablo because he's gonna have so much fun with the character, but he's gonna hate it so much because he's gonna be going through some shit.
oh yeah, like we've got all this stuff planned out for him across the series that we're going to stay very quiet about. But then I've gone into his past in book form and have just like found 3 other novels where I'm like, oh, we can just beat him up here as well, and just load some trauma into the guy. So yeah, I've never really abused a character quite so much, but Pablo seems super up for it, so that's great. Not going to ask questions.
Yeah, and thankfully, the actors have all agreed to narrate the books for us, which I already think I posted about it because
Yeah,
like Stefan's narrating Mark of the Shadow, Pablo, who's playing Siegfried, is narrating Magebane, and then
Magebane.
Ash, or yeah, Pablo Magebane, yeah, and
Yeah,
then Issa Gold is being narrated by Mikhail, who plays Ashton. So like we kept it for like the character focuses with their voice act, like their actors. So it's like I'm so happy they all agree.
yeah. And Stefan is having, I saw in the video, and also I just get messages from him, having a fun time reading Mark of the Shadow, which is some really lovely feedback of, I just got a message from him going, I keep giggling. And I'm like, good, that's kind of...
Yeah, we were talking on the last live about when he's reading and he's like wanting to ask all these questions, and I'm like, you have to wait until I'm done with the developmental edit. Once I'm done with that, I will answer questions.
Yeah.
It's taking so much longer because like I'm reading both that and Magebane, and I'm not. I'm looking at it with a more. I'm scrutinizing it more than I've scrutinized anything else in my developmental edits because it's the world. I did
Mhm.
that too with
Yeah.
Tristan. I had to write the entire book, the last Witch Queen. Like I was like, no, this needs to be completely rewritten.
Yeah. Um, and then, yeah, got Eyes of Gold to
Thankfully,
come.
the parts that I read wasn't major edits. Like I literally, like I think I'm like up to chapter 5 or 6 from like my scrutinizing edits, and like I really didn't have much notes in it actually that needed to be changed.
That is always lovely to hear. Yeah, because, oh, God, so much fun stuff to come. And I have Eyes of Gold to write as well, which is, yeah, political fantasy novel, which will be so much fun to do.
All
Um,
more of the Augustine.
yeah, that's, oh, I mean, yeah, if people listening, Augustine is, I think, my favorite. Like, Siegfried's my favorite main character. Augustine's my favorite just character because he is. I think I had such free license to kind of do stuff with him in Mark of the Shadow, and I had so much fun going like, okay, who's the most disruptive influence and element that I could create for this kind of thing? And yeah, like Augustine just kind of kept getting more and more in, like, ridiculous, but also serious, but also intense. And yeah, it's been so fantastic writing him. And then, yeah, Eyes of Gold, he's such a major player, as he will be in the series as well. So being able to kind of work on him, like writing him in the series, hearing Dan voice some of the stuff for him has been incredible. Like that's been such a high point when he. So Dan is the actor who plays Augustine, and he reads out. He's the guy who reads out the Augustine's lessons on magic and politics. And his performance is just so brilliant. Like it's so spot on, exactly what you want from that character. And you get so much of the character just in the voice, which I really love. Um, and yeah,
Yeah, we have 2 more coming out. One of them actually just came out,
yeah,
and then the other one will come out tomorrow. And then that'll be it for at least the film run. But we will revisit these things for him when we do the
yeah,
series for sure. We're gonna keep on
yeah.
going with.
There's Yeah, because Isaac Gold being so political, that is a something where Augustine, yeah, he is one of the people giving that political advice. And I mean, my PhD was in political fiction, and you learn so many little like hacks and tricks and everything that political authors do. And it's horrible because two of them are, if you think your book's boring, have one of your characters kill somebody, or have two of your characters sleep together. And it's the amount of times that I've just gone through like the reading that I've been doing and just gone, oh, they're not doing that. This is fantastic. Oh, right, yeah, no, there is one of them and both of them. So it's been fun finding the more subtle stuff that's not been written just by journalists looking to make a bit of money, where you get sort of more interesting political fiction stuff. But ours is set in a magical world, so we get to mess around with it quite a bit more. And it takes from some real history. So like the Peterloo riots was a big influence. Also, yeah, I got to talk about medieval football, which is so much fun to talk about.
Oh, and I
So
remember
that's
the pool thing. So there's a story why we're gonna be incorporating the pool because I've been talking about it with a few people already. The location that we want to use has a pool table, and we talked about ways where we could either cover it up or incorporate it in the shot. And like David and I, we were talking about doing medieval pool, and it just worked. And like you actually put it that in one of the books, didn't you? Or
it's
you're going to?
so it appears in both. It gets like a brief mention in both Mark of the Shadow and in Magebane for like the brief period Siegfried's in the city in Magebane. But it's Augustine introduces it because he like a character goes to the deep plunge looking for him, and Augustine comes across him, and he's watching the pool, and he has this like it's something along the lines of like marvelous game. As far as I understand it, use the stick to hit the white ball to knock your opponent's ball off the table. After which he picks up the white ball, smashes your teeth in, and calls you a cheating bastard. And he's like standing next to this barbarian wearing a breech clout, and he's like, "Isn't that right, Duncan?" And there's been a lot of fun. I think it gets mentioned very briefly in Magebane, where it's like they the people playing Q had like taken the people playing pool had taken the cue from the barbarians playing the game, who had taken it back and smashed it over their heads, which is always fun for a pun. So
And it all stemmed because the location had a pool table, and we're like, how can we incorporate this where it would make sense?
yeah, it's been fun bringing pub culture into the series. That's been a hugely fun element of it because we have so many scenes set in across the novels and in the film and the series set in the bad guy dive bar, which is so much fun to do as a medieval thing. Like Pratchett does it in Discworld with like the mended drum, which is like the bad guy bar. And he gets so over the top and with his descriptions that it's fantastic. And I love the fact we've got a similar thing going on with this place where every time we add a bit of lore, it just kind of makes it funnier.
And
Like,
it all stemmed from Sean writing about it when because Sean is also part of the writer's room,
yeah.
Sean Manna, but he's also playing Hylir. And he wrote a
Mhm.
scene for the Deep Plunge because it's supposed to be like the thieves hangout. And that's his purview, is
Yeah.
writing a lot of the stuff for the Thieves Guild. And we read that and we were just like, yeah, this is going to be our location now. We're using for so much. It just keeps expanding.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so much lore has been incorporated into this pub, which I like. I think most pubs in the UK have that kind of thing where it's like some of them will be like, you'll have a plaque outside saying established 1600s, and you're walking past going, yeah, okay, stuff happened. And obviously, a lot of stuff's happened in that. So,
Yeah. Oh, you get an entire bookshelf on Stefan's thing for your books, David.
I mean, yeah, they've got 6 coming out because the Royalist is a trilogy, and the Amalia books that I'm doing are kind of a trilogy inside more books. So it's kind of like it's like the Full House Prince because there's like 5 books coming out. So there's one's out already that's been written. You're writing one, and then there's 3 I'm doing that are there. So it is kind of like the Full House thing of 3 books inside of 2 books. Shows
Yeah.
I do not play a lot of poker. Yeah.
Yeah, we have 3 different authors for this 5-book box set that we're doing eventually.
Yeah. And
I get to write
yeah,
about the
no, they're all
Nari.
coming.
I love it.
Yeah.
You guys get a first look at the Great War and the Nari Kingdom, so all of the destruction, and I'm looking forward to when I actually get to writing that. But that one probably won't be out until about 2030. So if people
Yeah.
are wondering, mine's going to take a few years.
You have got a lot of stuff on, to be fair.
Well,
A
it's not
film, a
even that. It's
series, all
because
the other stuff.
the stuff that I'm writing for it is being incorporated in the show already, so I wanna make sure the
Ah, I
facts
see. Yeah.
align while I'm doing it. So, like, because
Mhm.
a lot of the stuff that I'm referencing in the books is stuff that we're touching on for flashbacks in the show.
Yeah.
So I wanna make sure I write them correctly for both mediums to make sure, like, it doesn't get translated wrong. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I gave
It's
myself that longer deadline.
yeah. I mean, it's weirdly the sort of mirror thing of what I'm doing with a lot of the scenes when I work on them with other writers and things, where it's either it's like, oh, we can't do that because that'll contradict something in the books that I really kind of want to keep in there, because it's partially comes down to it's such a good joke, I'm not getting rid of that. But other times it is the opportunity to go, and it was one where I was working on a scene with Siegfried and Caleb with Chris, and there was part of it where I went, oh my god, I was like, okay, I've got to give you like a 30-second like quick context thing. There is such a great joke that is a callback to the books, where if you've read the books, it's really funny. If you haven't read the books, you're not going to notice it. And that every so often I like doing that and trying to make it subtle. So, we're not making people do homework, but if people have read the books, they get a nice little treat and like, oh, I picked that up, when otherwise it would have just gone past me, which is what you have to do with references, I think. Either you notice them because you appreciate them, or you don't notice them at all. And I think we're trying to thread that line.
It's like we don't want to like detract from the enjoyment. We want to enhance it. We don't want to make it dependent on one or the other. Absolutely, I mean, obviously for the show, like, you're gonna need to see the first season before you see the second season. You're not gonna know anything. But like if it's a different medium, like, you don't have to see the Ranthus Chronicles to understand the Amalia Chronicles, and vice versa. And with the books and the films. Yeah, because we have like 3 features that I have planned. One of them, which we are working on now, Amalia. The other 2 are basically your 3 novels in one film. And then the one that I'm doing for the Great War.
Yeah.
That one is going to be so fun. And if we do that soon enough, we can keep all the actors, because a lot of them are like elves and stuff that are still alive. We just got to make them look a little younger.
Yeah. No, it'd be fun to have some. I think I mentioned on the Instagram thing, looking for footage of elves for some of the kind of reels I was making, and there's one guy, and he looks very elfin, like very elvish Presley. And it's the fact like he's got some really, really good stuff, but you have to go through a lot of things of him wearing leather trousers or just a pair of like very, very modern underpants, which is one of those things where I'm like, I don't think I can use either of these, don't want to use either of these. So I troll through so much of very strange, disturbing glamour shots and footage to find one where it's like, oh good, this one looks like it's out of fantasy. There's one of him eating flowers, which I was so tempted to use
for us for the marketing.
Yeah, there's one of him just full on taking a bite out of a flower, which I haven't used. I have saved just because occasionally I'm going to need a giggle. And so I can just get that up on my phone and watch it again. Oh.
I remember us showing the clips to the actors that recorded for them, and all of them were just loving them.
Yeah.
I think the one that was the most voiced actually was Jason. Like, he messaged me about it privately, and he's like, I love this. I love everything about this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think you messaged me in that one. Oh, you like sent that along as well, because I was coming out of a comedy show and I got that message. And I was like, oh. Yeah. So yeah, that was Gliders. So that was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. Oh, so much stuff. All right. Oh, so there is an announcement that I think David should make about the series, and also potentially the film.
I mean, it begins with a letter K, doesn't it? Just so I don't like randomly blow something. Okay. So after getting, I should say, firstly, tricked into an audition, which you freely admit to doing. Yeah. So after getting tricked into an audition that I had not prepared for, and then very nicely being given time to prepare for an audition, which mostly involved filling my wife's silver cup up with wine and practicing throwing it at something that wouldn't break. I am so I play now a character in the series. I am Kanar, who is Inari. Am I allowed to say what Inari is?
It's already been out there for the Nari and the Gara.
So yeah, Nari is a being that is essentially a soul inside of someone else's body. It's funny because every time I say that, I just think of Kang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a less than flattering comparison. But so it's something where the soul can body hop from different bodies, and we're doing a ton with the lore of that and what can be done with it. But as well as being Inari, I would say it's quite fair to say Kana is a prick. And I'm having so much fun writing things that just make him seem worse and worse. So, attention, internet, I'm your dark fantasy boyfriend now. So get ready for that, because I'm not going to be good at it.
And
I think
soon
that's how
you'll
to
be a
do the
book form,
announcement.
so you would be considered one of the book boyfriends for Book Talk.
Yeah. I'm into some pretty weird stuff in the series.
And some of it is
Oh.
your fault.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, we went full Shakespearean villain on this one, which was fun. So before I knew that I was going to be doing it, I loved the character because we were just like, he's a little bit Claudius from Hamlet, he's a little bit Macbeth, and he's a little bit Edmund from King Lear. And you add it all together, and he's the worst human being on the planet. But
And the funny thing is,
three-dimensional.
I gave him just minor guidelines, and I wanted him to develop the character because I thought of it from pretty much the beginning, which I admitted to later on. It's like, oh no, you want to add this for the character? Okay. Do you like? Can you read something like that for me just so I could see how it sounds?
Cue me writing a page-long monologue that I had to spend, God, quite a while learning. So yeah, I'm so glad there were no cameras in bathrooms, because anytime there was a mirror, I'd be like running through the speech and practicing it. And I eventually did the audition while drinking wine, which I think is both a very Kanar thing to do and a very me thing to do.
I've done auditions where I was drinking. As a matter of fact, when I did
Yeah.
the clown set, I actually was drinking at that bar scene because the crew, we showed up and started setting we couldn't set up until the bar was closed. We showed up about 2 hours before the bar closed just so we can get us and the gear in. And then we were drinking and doing karaoke and stuff like with everybody else for
Nice.
the not anybody that had to drive or anything, but I was one of the people that didn't have to drive that day, and all I was like the prop master, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you be background for the scene?" I'm like, okay, whatever. And but I was drinking and doing the karaoke and stuff. So when I was on set doing that scene as the background and singing, I was literally drinking like actual alcohol for it.
When I was the bodyguard and the mourner that one day, yeah, I couldn't drink because I'd driven from Newcastle to Manchester, which is a 2.5 hour drive, I think. Hopefully, I've not massively lowballed that and put myself as a speed demon. But we were all in the pub and getting ready to drink, and so many people had driven, and the director was just going like, "Guys, it's a mob funeral. Can you someone please just order a pint?" And I'm there going like, "Look, I don't think this place does 0 alcohol beers." But let's just say my character's drinking rum and coke or something. Also, not that it matters. And the other favorite bit about that was we were filming in the back room of a pub to do the funeral scene, like the function room, but we had to go through the front of the pub. And there were people in there who definitely didn't know something was being filmed there. So when a bunch of people in black suits just walked in through the pub, I think part of them thought it was a sting, part of them thought it was an actual funeral happening or a wake. And when we were leaving at the very end, I just heard one of the presumably the regulars as we were walking out the door going, "Here come the men in black." Just absolutely
Galaxy
floored a lot of
Defenders. I love those movies.
That was also so. I'm much better with the script. Me and one of the actors had to silently improvise a conversation while the actual sort of like conversation in the script, the series, was happening in the foreground. So we were just in the background. And that was weird because I was having to concentrate on that, but I was very aware there are actors over there saying the words that I wrote, and this is so surreal and so cool. And I managed with the guy, and I think it's 50-50 blame, but I basically managed to have an awkward silence during a silenced, improvised conversation with another actor to the point where we both just look at each other and just going, and we eventually started a game of just passing phones to each other, acting like we were looking at like pictures of family or something like that, and seeing who could get like the strangest picture to show the other person. And basically, we had to stop because we were going to corpse in the background and start laughing in a wake, which is not exactly frowned upon, but probably not something you should do when you're attending a mob boss's funeral. So
Yeah, that could get you capped.
yeah, so I think the lesson there is I always need a script, but the good news is I'm the lead writer, so I can make sure there's a script.
Yeah, that is going to be fun. Like, we're going to have so many background, especially for like the festival and stuff, and when we're in the kingdom. Like, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the festival stuff. God, yeah. At least there's like some stuff like at the palace where it's more private. The inns and the taverns and everything. Yeah, so many background characters.
Yeah, and everyone's getting ready to
Oh.
like do their songs. Oh yeah, do you want to tell them about some of the songs you've been writing, David?
Oh, I mean, I know it's an 18 plus channel, but I think two of them. So one of them's a sea shanty, which is really fun to write. It's the first thing I've ever written, at least in years. It hasn't been for like an MA class or something, that could be called a poem. And it's the story of, won't go into details, but basically it's a story of something that happens in early on in the series that hopefully will then get sort of recapped in song form. And the whole idea that I think it's something that kind of happens in the novels and in the series. The whole idea that like these events are going to get described in songs and like the oral tradition and stuff. Because I tried to find, oh, what did medieval folk melodies sound like? And got told, well, no, it's an entirely oral tradition. There's no, as far as we can tell, there's very limited descriptions of what the tunes would be like, which is why all of them that we have are made up. And so, yeah, just writing kind of sea shanty thing. But the idea that these events have been kind of like witnessed and then spread, and then someone's written a song about it that isn't entirely accurate, to be fair to the characters. And then there's a scene where it's kind of a discussion about songs, and the idea is you have this elf character who, talking about a period in history, this like very tumultuous period, would recite this stanza of a poem, sort of epic poem that he'd written. And I went nuts for it because I did it in, I think it's called Terza Rima or Terza Rima, but it's the kind of like rhyme scheme that Dante Alighieri did when he wrote Inferno, which is kind of like the rhyme scheme is basically A, B, A, B, C, B, C, D, C, and it sort of goes on. So it's interwoven rhyming, and it's a headache to do, but I said I was going to do it, so I did it. And you've got him talking about this, and he's hundreds to thousands of years old, and he's written this epic poem about these events that he saw. And it's then so he can turn to the humans and say, well, what songs do your cultures have? Because he wants to learn about them. And they have to embarrassingly kind of admit that they've just got hymns, or they've got songs that are about fairly coarse activity. And then I wrote a song that describes that kind of folk song that in medieval times they would have had, and it was incredibly rude. And I will not go into details on that because that is genuinely, I don't even know if you've read that one. It's in the Google Drive, but
I have not yet.
I need to slap a, I think I gave it the very puritanical title, A Lovely Way to Spend an Afternoon, which is kind of like the tag at the end of every verse, but it's 4 verses of really, really adult material. Because I love folk songs, like drinking songs, any kind of medieval songs. I mean, football and rugby chants, I get an absolute kick out of, because we come from this culture where we have to sing hymns in assemblies at school. And it means we're all so very good at singing in unison together, and we can pick up a tune and lyrics really quickly. So yeah, it's something that I really explore in Eyes of Gold, which again is kind of about football, and it's about medieval life and social change and things, but songs are a huge part of that. So yeah, I've been writing songs for Amalia, which hopefully will end up in the series, because that would be so much fun.
No, they absolutely will.
Yeah.
At least some of them. Yeah, I've already been like going through yours and Justine's songs, and I'm like, okay, these are gonna go here, these are gonna go there.
I think it was the sea shanty where you said, oh, like, tell Justine. And I think I said, look, can you read it? And then could you tell Justine? Because I think it's going to be so much better than me just announcing myself and sending these lyrics.
Yeah, Justine was all for it, though.
Better from... Oh, that's good, yeah. You don't want to sort of really tarnish yourself by just unannounced emails going, read this song I wrote. So it was much better to do it through you. But it's been fun.
But you worked with Justine, though. Like, she worked in the writer's room with you, so I don't understand why.
Oh, yeah, true.
Like...
think it was just very, very kind of buttoned down and professional in there. I don't think there was a huge amount of like, it's not like the meetings we have, like me, you, and Noah, and Dan, and Brandon, where it's like, yeah, there's a bit of messing around, there's a lot of giggles and stuff. I'm sort of quite on it in the writers' room because I'm supposed to be setting an example. So
And then Noah and
it
I
was where that
crash
sort of blurred.
every time.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, me and Noah.
I shouldn't be.
It's when you've got me
But
and
when
Noah
Noah's
writing
involved,
scenes. When you've got me and Noah writing scenes, there's a lot of laughs, but to be fair, we get through the scenes. So yeah.
and it's like, okay, so like when it's you and I, we're not nearly as cracky, but as soon as you add Noah in the
Yeah.
mixture in any room, it's just
Oh,
like
yeah. I mean, I think
uh,
again the energy's intense, but it's so refreshing as well. And I think that stops us hitting a writer's block because you've got that kind of like, obviously he's got fantastic ideas for the scenes as well, but he's also got the energy where I don't think it's possible to get tired while you're in a call with Noah. So you are just constantly always on and you're buoyed by that energy and you keep writing and it gives us ideas for stuff. So yeah, he's fantastic to have in the writer's room because
and
he
some
keeps
of
you in
his
that frame of
jokes,
mind.
like between you and him, will
Yeah.
end up somehow making their way into some of the
Yeah.
scripts.
It's when we didn't do it, but we almost had the line because it was like, I think it ended up being it must be the girl's choice, but the girl in question was Sophie, and we almost had the line, it is Sophie's choice, and 5 minutes just cackling, and then one of us just went, we probably shouldn't put it in now.
I remember you telling me about that, both of you, and it was
Yeah.
like I was cry laughing. It was so bad the first time.
Well, it's fantastic because it zaps from one to the other as well, because it's we'll be going through a very emotional scene. Like we did a couple of weeks ago, we worked on one with Nathaniel and Lillian, and that's like a very emotional scene. And we'd be kind of making jokes, and then we get to a line, and suddenly Noah would be like, I think we need to alter this ever so slightly, change the wording from this to this, add this action in. And it was this whiplash thing of going, okay, you can't move out of one or the other so fast. Like, you can't go from really good jokes to really good advice like that quickly. But that's
Noah's
how it
very good at
works.
that. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
he was the first one I brought in as one of my co-creators, because I was like, I need Noah. Like, I need Noah. He's
Yeah.
also one of the main directors. Like, I'll direct
Mhm.
like 4 episodes every season, and I'm doing the feature, but like he's directing more than that, like
Yeah.
every season. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because again, when we're writing scripts, he'll have like me make notes and everything going like, yeah, just for me later when we do the scene, just add this note in about how the perspective's going to be, because otherwise it'll get lost. So we've got like notes and everything. So it's already taking shape because he's got this image in his mind of how that scene's going to look. And we're adding the stuff there. And it's like, obviously there's going to be so much more, but the bones of it are already there when it's, yeah, just the sort of like voice and the action. And now the stuff's being added to it. So, and I do not know very much at all about directing. So I try to read up on it because I find it so interesting when I'm on set and I see how the decisions are made. Like this, I've worked with cinematographers who are just incredible people. Like the way they're able to do stuff is fantastic, and I get so interested. And partially as a writer, I want to know about that so I can make things easier for everybody else. And I'm not just kind of like writing something where it's impossible to do. But it's so interesting as well. So yeah, like it's so fun interacting with that people who are doing that side of things too.
Yeah, that's why also like when we were doing some of those scenes, like Noah and I would go back and forth and be like, okay, so we should do this shot here, and we're like, just put a note somewhere for us, because like
Yeah.
I do the same thing when I'm doing scripts. If I know I'm directing it too, then I'll do that. If I'm not, then I won't. But like but I'm like, this shot needs to be there. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready, hopefully, to do the shot list soon with Altman, because he's our
Nice.
DP. And I want to do my own shot list. I want him to do his own, and then I want us to compare notes, and then do
Mm.
the final shot list that way. So that way, it's like these are the shots I have in mind. These are the shots he thinks will work, and then we can like make a mash of what we work together. Because I love being speaking
Collaborative?
collaborative. Yeah, collaborative. Yeah, that one. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
guys. I'm also sick, so like I think it's allergies. So I'm like, yeah, all over the place. I took some Dayquil, and it's helping a lot, but still.
Yeah. I mean, I've started doing it with I think partially working with that has again kind of rubbed off on me because I think it was when I was doing the audition slide or side for the Nari King, Kanan, and it was occasionally I'd write visual stuff in there, like how like Kanar first just sort of appears behind him and he's looming behind him, and like his eyes are on the throne, but he's looming behind his brother. And then at one point they have a conversation. And I wrote in the thing they're looking at each other, but in the background the throne is standing exactly between them. And it was just little stuff because partly it's as a prose writer you have to write everything in there and you have to get all the feelings and all the emotions and stuff. As a screenwriter you can do it's far more pared down, and in some ways you have to say as much but with far less stuff. But yeah, working with people who are seeing it visually as they're writing it has really like been an experience, and that's something I've started doing too, like more on this than I am when I'm working with other filmmakers, because I'm like, I get this is your guys' thing that you're making here. So yeah, it's
But we're very much into like I said before, like Kai's Corner Productions is a teaching
mhm,
production company. So like I like working with a lot of emerging and new filmmakers, whether it be in front of or behind of, which is why we were talking originally too about you and possibly Mikhail and stuff directing episodes at some point down the line, because you
yeah,
guys are both like learning to be directors. So it's like it's that kind of stuff. Like I love fostering that creativity because I am like all over the place. I have really bad ADHD. I can't do just one thing at a time. I want to just know everything. I know I can't, but I want to. So I always like to, encourage other people. It's like, hey, if you have an idea or if there's something you want to learn, just come to me, and if we can make it happen, then we will. I mean, I won't let it like detract from the project,
yeah,
but if it's something that we can accommodate, then I'm more for it. I'm all for it.
yeah. I mean, I think I've said, and I need to put something in the Discord for similar for people who want to kind of get involved with screenwriting. I want to learn a bit more about screenwriting. I love teaching people about that or going through stuff and like reviewing things. So yeah, like on board with that. I love anytime I get a chance to do it. Um, so yeah, I do need to let people know.
Yeah, there's that free resource section. Like Stefan started
Yeah,
writing about it for the voice acting. You're a mod. You can write in there whenever you want for your own section.
yeah. But, someone at my Krav Maga class who was like stunned when she found out, like, oh, you're a screenwriter. Like, how do you possibly? And I'm really trying to kind of like, I'd love to do that, but I don't know how. And I'm trying to kind of push her into it and being like, well, you can get these free programs and learn about it. I can tell you like how to do it. I can lend you a book. And so, yeah, I like teaching stuff. Uh, it's always fun getting people into screenwriting and just writing in
It is
general.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lilith is new to acting. She was
Mhm.
also the first like I made so Lilith is our locations manager. She never did the job. I've been showing her, how to do it, and like she has gone so well. Like a lot of these beautiful locations that we've been scouting was all because Lilith's recommendations of like this would be good for this area and stuff like that. Like she's doing a phenomenal job, and she's actually started like going out of her comfort zone and reaching out to these locations and CCing me and the others in the emails. But like she's like, I'm not used to this, but I'm so glad I'm doing this.
Mhm. I
It's like you
remember
never
being
know.
I remember doing, just because of where I'm based in the UK. You once said like, can you just like check around and see if there are any kind of like castles or anything like nearby you that we could potentially use? I gave you a list of 20. It's like, where are these? They're about like up to a 40-minute drive maximum away from where I'm currently sitting. And I went to a party and I mentioned what I was doing, and I got three more recommended to me by people. I mentioned to one person, two more people came up who I had not talked to until that moment to tell me about other castles that I'd left off the list. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, I hope
Um,
you've been adding those things to the Google Drive for the locations, because
yeah.
we will eventually get into the UK, especially for Ranthus, because we have a lot of scenes we have to
Mhm.
film out there for both Japan and the UK
I mean,
and
yeah, I think
Ireland.
one of the things I showed you was Penshaw Monument, that fake Greek structure, which
Yes, that will
is,
be in
yeah.
Ranthus. I will not tell you guys where on Ranthus. You'll just have to find out. So, stay tuned. As a matter of fact, linked at the top pinned here is the donation for our backer kit. If you haven't already, consider checking out the campaign And if you have the ability to do so, consider donating. The donations will go to, for this specific campaign, the training for all the actors for their physical martial arts training, as well as like their uh, horseback riding, and some of them have dialect training that they need to do, but not getting into that all the way for. But this is for them to get kickstarted on their training.
Uh, with the dialect training, I feel so bad because one of the characters in Mark of the Shadow has a pronounced West Country accent because it's an amazing accent. But having to explain it to someone who's not heard it is a wonderful experience.
Who is it that you?
So that's Elias, the old man.
Oh, oh yeah, I remember Elias. You've talked a lot about him actually,
Oh, he is my favorite.
and
I love
Tomas.
having, yeah. I mean, Tomas is a major character he's a viewpoint character in Mark of the Shadow. Um, so yeah, Elias is this old guy that they meet in the first like third of the book. And he is this, I think I described him quite succinctly as the old bugger. And he is just this 80 something year old man, still works on a farm, grumpy as hell. Uh, the youth of today are all just can't be helped, anything like that. And the youth of today is anybody like 60 years of age and under. And he just complains and grouses, and he's my favorite character because there's a good heart buried way down deep in there. And he is like important, and I am kind of really wanting to just have a cameo in the series, just because. Also, with the joke that 20 years on, he'd still be alive. Like he's into triple digits in a medieval European society, and somehow he's past 100. And he's just too stubborn and bitter to die. But yeah, as soon as I started writing him, I was like, oh, he's got a West Country accent as wide as a highway. And yeah,
Well,
it's a
speaking
fun
of
one to
your
do.
writing, let's talk
Ooh,
about the Royalists.
let's. Do you want to? I
This
can.
is your baby. This is your
Yeah.
whatever you want to spoil on this is all up to you. It is your baby.
Um, so anyone who is following me on Instagram, first, thank you very much indeed. But they'll also know that the Royalists is both. So the Royalist, the novel, is going to be my debut novel. It's a medieval fantasy story, and is basically about. Going to say this as vaguely as I can. I think just the stuff that's on Dust Jacket, so I don't give too much away. But it is about a fallen kingdom and a princess who has to basically flee, and she is guarded by a female knight, a priestess, and a thief, as they are basically traversing the land looking for safety and trying to find a place to settle down, and basically trying to work out who they can trust. And all four of them are going through, due to the time of their lives and where they are sort of developmentally, major character development. So it's a very character-based story. It has got adventure, it's got darkness, it's got grief, all these sorts of things. But I think it's definitely one of the more serious things I've written. So, like compared to Mark of the Shadow, Mage Bane, and definitely Eyes of Gold, they're going to have a lot of emotion, but there's also a lot of comedy. This has got a little bit of comedy, but it's mostly an emotional story. But it's got everything that I love about medieval fantasy adventures. So I have massively enjoyed writing it. I'm so grateful to Kai's Kingdom Publishing because they are publishing the trilogy, which is absolutely incredible and a dream come true, to the point that at this point I do have to find some new dreams because too many of mine have come true, so I'm adding more to the list now. I'm getting a second bucket list. But I love this series. I've got the entire thing planned out. I'm about halfway through book 2 at the moment, which is, if anything, more emotional. Like that has been incredible to write. And 3, I'm enjoying myself so much with 2. I cannot wait to get to 3. I'm doing so much research and to try and make it as authentic as I can, and every bit of it is just making me more excited. So The Royalist is coming out this summer. it is nuts. It is unbelievable, but it is happening. And I still surprise myself with remembering that because it seems so incredible. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're actually getting
more
ready
news to
to
follow.
get all your book tour stuff figured out as soon as we get
Yeah.
the other stuff figured out we need to get out first.
Yes. So yeah, I'll be swanning around the place talking about my book, which is all I've ever really wanted to do.
Yeah.
That and write screenplays and write more books. So I'm very, very happy right now.
And I get a
But
reason to go visit the UK for part of that
yes,
tour.
yes, that is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
first time out of the country, I'm going to the UK. Yeah.
It'll be my second time in the US, but the first time I was only ever in New York because it was the first time I went to America. So New York was one of those places that you, yeah, tick off the list. So I'm really excited to see more places as well.
Yeah, I actually went to New York the first time for Amalia.
Yeah,
I was like, I worked there, but I don't count that because I'm only at the
yeah,
event site. But like, I actually
hmm,
went and was a tourist. Somebody that
nice,
was working with us prior to, she went and gave me kind of a tour of the area. It was super fun.
cool. Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah. But
Got
yeah,
to
no,
feed a little
absolutely.
tortoise.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I'm getting published it is all I've wanted for so long. And the fact it's happening now is insane. And I still, as I say, I still get really surprised by it when I remember that it's happening. Um, and yeah, I still could not quite fully believe it. So that's amazing. And it is the end of I mean, not the end of a journey because I'm still constantly learning more writing stuff and trying to get better and better and better. Um, but yeah, it is a huge milestone. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, and 3 of David's books are currently up for pre-order. The Royalist for book 1, and then the first 2 for that he's doing for the Amalia Chronicles, Mark of the Shadow, and Magebane. They're all up on either Kai's Kingdom Publishing's website or Kai's Corner Productions website, since technically Kai's Corner owns it, so it's on both of the things.
And we are publicizing and doing little snippets and book trailers and stuff throughout. In the near future, I don't know what the timescale is and everything, but hopefully we'll have some cover art to share, which I look forward to doing incredible things with on Canva to showcase that. But yeah, I mean, that's been a wonderful bit about working on this project and doing the marketing is because, yeah, it's been so useful with Canva. So it's been fun.
Yeah, those intro videos and stuff that you were doing, the clips, they've
Uh,
been very fun. Just like seeing the conception, because it
yeah.
definitely shows that we are pretty much on the same wavelength that we want for the
Yeah.
showcasing. Because I'm like, I haven't had to ask you once to change any of them. It's like, no, this is good.
Well, it was when Stefan did the 3 reading ones, and them going live was another thing where I was like, this is unreal. This is like an actual actor and voice actor reading my stuff and hearing the stuff that he's been doing. Like, we have not had a lot of like chances to chat one on one. And when we do, it's been like quite a lot about, we've had to talk about the film or the books or anything. So we haven't had a lot of time to chat. So hearing the stuff that he was doing, like, oh, he's been in Yellowstone products, like he's been in Fallout, is nuts. So yeah, that's just added to that. But yeah, putting together reels where it was Stefan reading from Mark of the Shadow was insane because you're just going like, it's like when you see actors doing scenes when I've been on set and you're just going, well, those are my words. I typed those out onto Final Draft or on Microsoft Word. And now they're at the point where they are actually not just like existing in printed out paper, which is rare because I'm so digital about stuff, but it's yeah, the fact it's like someone's saying them or someone's performing them is nuts. My favorite version of that is so immature because in The City Is Ours, the very first scene is basically because a big subplot that becomes a main plot is a, basically there's like kid gangs having like fights and everything in the city, and it's a sign of, compared to the organized crime, kind of the rise and the threat that disorganized crime presents, and how directionless it can be, and how they're kind of at the mercy of this more organized crime. And it started with a bunch of teenagers having a fight, like a proper punch out brawl in the streets. And some of them were so young, their parents had come along, or some of the parents had come along because they wanted to see their kids in a like acting in a film and stuff like that. And we had the scene where these like 10 to 12 kids screaming at each other, then running each other, then beating the living shit out of each other. And you're standing there behind the camera with the director in a suit, just like for a funeral, and just going, I made this happen. I am the cause of these kids hitting each other. And it's a horrible, wonderful feeling to, yeah, it is that sort of thing of this is too much power for one person. Like they shouldn't be doing this just because I wrote a script.
Yeah,
But it
and
was fun, and they had fun.
I'm kind of like we're working. Well, some of the stuff together, some of it solo, like working on verticals lately, and just like reading all that stuff because I consume verticals like crazy. Like I will spend every day hours in a day like watching vertical dramas because I just love them. But I'm just thinking like I'm actually writing them, and like you've read snippets of what I've been writing, but like it's just one of those
I've
things.
read
Think about it, it's
yours,
like
you've read mine.
yeah, it's like one of those things like I know how much stuff goes into this and how like out off the wall it is, but like having to come up with it at the same time, it's like I never thought I'd be writing something like this. I mean, I tend to write more dark, but like this is like just off the wall stuff.
Yeah. Anytime your writing is thought like worthy of being like published on like a website that's owned by somebody else, or as a novel, or someone like films it or reads it or something like that, like aloud, that's insane. Like I don't think any writer really gets used to it. Unless you're like Stephen King and you have a like thing of thousands of books out. And I mean, he's still doing it, so he still loves it. But yeah, I hope I never get used to it because it's an insane feeling. Yeah.
It is great. I love it. And like even a lot of the projects, like I produce my own stuff, yes, but like starting to produce more and more of other people's things, and I'm just like, I actually play a part in getting this thing made. I can't believe I helped do that. Like how?
I mean, like Cheating Death was one of them.
Yeah, Cheating Death and
Yeah.
Misfits. Which speaking of Misfits is out on sale on Amazon for anyone that hasn't seen it. It's a family film about a dad that lost his wife. She died from an illness, and he basically has to try to save their family. And he ends up joining a wrestling tournament to try to provide and keep the house. But I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to like spoil everything. But it's a very good film, and it was one of the ones that I'm very proud that I worked on, and I still am helping with the marketing for it. But it was just it's surreal because I know I wasn't there from the very beginning, but I was definitely there for a good like chunk of it for like almost half. And it's just like seeing what Chris you mentioned Chris earlier. Chris
Yeah.
actually is his writing assistant, but he also is the writer and director for Misfits. So and the main producer because it's his project. But if you haven't already, follow Gallagher Productions, follow Misfits. Like Chris has such a fantastic mind, and I really can't wait to see all the stuff you guys are doing with Siegfried with him.
Yeah, writing scenes with them is absolutely phenomenal. So love, just yeah, so many good ideas, such an ear for dialogue as well, which is incredible. I mean, everybody on that writing team is bringing so much stuff, and the ideas they come up with, the stuff they pitch, the stuff they write is absolutely incredible. So it's a very talented group, and we're insanely lucky. And yeah, the amount of talent that we have working on this, like I was there watching those kind of group auditions, and that was nuts as well because the amount of kind of firstly the amount of people who showed up with their own swords to a Zoom audition is not talked about enough, and I kind of feel like we just need an entire documentary about it because it was the point where I was going, he's got a sword as well. And someone's just fashioned their own out of household materials, which is almost more worrying. So that
And
was
the funny
weird, but
part is
also,
almost everyone that did actually made it in the project.
yeah, if you're going to do an interview, bring a sword. That is probably not the best advice I've ever given anyone. Uh,
bring a prop.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Alex, he
actually,
brought his own goblet for Zephyr's.
yeah. Oh, for the Canar thing, I had what can only be described as kind of a chalice, almost like a communion wine chalice thing. And it was from TK Maxx, or I think TJ Maxx. You guys have them in America. And it was a fiver. But we had it, and every so often I would drink wine of it like a fancy boy. And I kind of thought, well, if I'm doing this Canara thing, obviously the best thing I can do is have this goblet. I wonder how durable it is, and can I throw it during a sort of like, particularly, one of the parts in that one-page monologue where I suddenly just start screaming. Um, with a neighbor on either side of me, shared wall, and a neighbor above me, which must have been really fun for them. And so I held it about an inch off the rug, let it go, and it shattered. And I just remember sort of going, oh, okay, I've been drinking out of that, so that's not great. But fortunately, my wife had a silver cup from India, and she was very kind enough, as long as I promised to be very careful with it, to let me drink wine out of it for that. So I would have had a much more ornate cup, but 2 days before the audition, I broke it while experimenting to see how easy it was to break. So yeah.
And this is definitely the challenges that actors and other filmmakers have.
Yeah, sometimes props are terrible.
Yeah, I'm
Sometimes
actually
crucifixes fall off the wall.
I'm actually looking to cosplay Alistair for the con that I always go to every year, the Harrisburg Comic Book PopCon. One of the days I'm actually going to be Alistair, and I'm debating on making his voice box so I can actually alter my voice when I want to.
Damn.
Yeah, it's cosplay. I'm cosplaying both days.
Yeah.
I do every year. Let's be real. Like, this is like my 5th or 6th year going pretty much in a row. Yeah. Yeah.
I have never been to a convention, so this is going to be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So David will be there as for his book. Like, that is one of the spots that we are going to have him there for the tour. So, and that's all he's doing there. All he's doing there.
I mean, now it sounds like it's some kind of murder mystery setup and everything. But
Yeah,
Sergeant,
well,
they said he was only going to be there for the book. They wouldn't lie on a live stream.
in the post edits, like the devil face shows up, like the purple devil face, like oh. Or like Bowser when at the end credit, the things when he switches levels.
Just this face just appearing on a book that says, it titled "If I Did It."
So what are some of your inspirations for when you why did you want to first become a writer?
It's funny because I once had to do an essay on this for a magazine to accept an article. So I think, like a lot of writers, I was super into reading, and for a while that was kind of the interest. So read Enid Blyton, and then you move up to Roald Dahl and Dick King Smith as well, which is like the most English collection of authors I can do. And then my dad, who was basically fueling and definitely financially backing my reading experience, got me these Robin Jarvis books, which is like George R. R. Martin for kids. There are cat guards and rat guards, and the rats eat the mice, and it is fully explored. And it is mental and hardcore and insane. And yeah, if you ever get a chance to read Robin Jarvis, any of his series, they are off the wall. I've still got them on Kindle, so I can reread them sometimes and think, I read this when I was 8, which is not good. And that was kind of me thinking, like, why does this make me feel the way that I do? And I would kind of start writing. And we were doing some writing stuff at school. And at one point, I happened to do the best in the. There was one, our very own Hermione Granger. There was one girl who was just fantastic and brilliant at everything. And there was one thing when I wrote a story that got marked better than hers. And I kind of thought, well, this is my thing now. Like, this is all I'm going to do. And people liked listening to it. And I was going, well, I like listening, like hearing and reading these stories. So, but then I I don't know what age I was, but my dad got me some Terry Pratchett Discworld novels, and that was where it clicked. I want to make stuff like this because I've never enjoyed anything as much as I bless you. I've never enjoyed anything as much as I have reading these Discworld novels. And I was already that kid where my mum would try on giving me a lift home from school, would try and start a conversation with me before I got a book out of my bag and just read on the 5 minute drive home because I really wanted to read. But reading Terry Pratchett was the thing that made me go, I want to do this and I want to see if I can do it as well as this. And that is an insane thing to say because Terry Pratchett is apps. I mean, two of my favorite books of all time. One is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. The other one is Night Watch by Terry Pratchett. And a lot, not all of them, but a lot of the rest of my top 10 are Pratchett novels because he just did it so incredibly well. And I just followed that and I did an MA in creative writing. I did a PhD in creative writing, writing political fiction that I really shouldn't have done. I started late 2015 because 2016 hit that project like a truck. And all of a sudden you're doing the most current and important work in the humanities department. And you've got people you don't know coming and asking you how it's going, which I could have done without, frankly. So I hid in the bar and wrote there for most of it. And yeah, and I've just kept doing it. And there's nothing I like more than writing at this point. And I want to keep getting better and better. And I'm at the point where, yeah, my work is going to be shared with a lot of people, which is absolutely insane. And I've gathered so many stories that I want to tell. Like, I've got these 2 trilogies coming out. I have plans for the next 2 series of things I'm doing beyond that. So I have a long-term plan. And I'm going to keep writing until someone stops me. And I love prose writing. I love screenwriting. I also have done some writing for games as well. So I wrote Paranormal Preparatory School, which is a kind of comedy game set fantasy, urban fantasy set in a school for the undead. And yeah, it's just become the thing I love doing the most. And even if I'm doing, I could be at Disneyland, and if I'm in the queue for a ride and I'm not talking to somebody, like I'm just for some reason by myself, I'll get out my phone and I'll open Word or Final Draft and I'll write a paragraph. If I'm at the gym between sets, I'll write a paragraph. I'll do something. So yeah, that's started reading, read some really good writers and thought, I want to do that. So that's what inspired me to be a writer.
I remember some of those random calls that I gave to you. You were usually at the gym or the random text. I'm like, hey, we need, like, can we do this? I've messaged at the most random times.
There is nothing like receiving a call, especially when it's like not just us, it's other people, and me being able to go, well, I'm in the gym right now, but I guess I can take this call, and just creating this image of myself. And I've been going nuts since I got the Canar roll. Like, I don't drink that much anyway, but I've pretty much cut alcohol out because I'm like, well, that's what the wrestlers do when they want to get in shape. They just stop drinking. So I didn't even drink that much. I'd have like every couple of weeks, I'd have a beer or a glass of wine. So that's gone. And I've been, so it's been fueling some personal bests in the gym. So that's been fantastic. But I'm going to cut in about 3 weeks and I'm braced for that misery. But because I'm bulking now and that's fantastic because you just eat stuff.
Oh,
and you've
are
got to
you
eat the right stuff.
getting ready to do like what were you doing? The intermediate fasting? Is that what you're doing again, or?
No, so I'm currently on a bulk and putting on weight. Then I'm going to do maintain, which is just eating what you need to stay at where you're at for 2 weeks. And then I'm going to go on like a cut where I am hopefully going to be getting rid of some of the fat I've picked up on the bulk and keeping that muscle. So it's less food and back on the treadmill as well, which will be a lot of fun. Although we have phones that play movies, so that's not much of a thing anymore. I just put on an episode of Sharp and watch that while I jog.
The amount of times you referenced Sharp when we were
I was thinking it was going to come up. Poor James. Every time we talk about Merrick, it's just me going, have you watched Sharp yet? One of the best series of all time.
Yeah, so James, this particular James, because we have multiple, he's talking about is the one who's playing Merrick.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like he's got a soul. Like his whole thing is his identity is that he's a soldier, and the push for him to be in command against his natural inclinations it's Sharp-esque. And so, I mean, yeah, if people haven't watched Sharp as well, because not only is it a fantastic series, it teaches you how to write, because they had no budget. So they had to make do with incredible actors and a brilliant writing and directing team. So it's a good example. But
Know the struggles.
yeah, I mean, yeah, writing, it's not fun to do all the time. Writing inside restrictions is an incredible teacher. And you do pick up stuff. And it's why I like working on quite low budget things, because I'll be told, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this, but we do need to accomplish this. And it's great getting into that space where I'll just go for a walk or just put on some music and just think, and you have to come up with a solution. And that is so much fun. If you don't find a solution, it's another kind of hell. But when you get to that point where you have pitched 3 things and it's not going to work, and you pitch the 4th thing and they say, and you hear the silence, then go, let me talk to a guy. And then at that point, like, that's going to be it. That's what they're going to do. So, I mean, yeah, there's so many, that's the thing about writing, even the sort of bits where you are restricted and you've got to work within limitations, I end up really enjoying those. And I think you take a lesson from them that you incorporate the rest of your writing. And as long as you're still doing it, you're constantly getting better at it. And it's mostly free. Unless you need final draft, but that is a good investment.
I like doing a lot of practicals more than special effects because, again, it does save with budget. But like seeing it written on the page and then trying to figure out, okay, so how can we do this with as much practical effects as possible has always been fun. It's like, because I usually have like 2 versions of it. This is the ideal version if we had the budget and means we want, and then this is the version that'll make it so it's still similar to what we want, but not necessarily exactly all the bells and whistles. That's why I've been telling everyone from the whole thing, the get-go. It's like, this is like, I'd like the ideal version, and then we'll tailor back what we have to.
I mean, I should say there has been one thing said in one meeting where I like the fact you felt the need to say, we are not allowed to set Pablo actually on fire. And I think it was me and Chris actors with their unions.
He's not union yet, but he will be.
He will be when he sees this. That's gonna doing my bit for the left wing, just driving people into unions with a threat of fire. Oh. We were never going to burn an actor alive. We need him too much.
And we're not doing it with the stunt actors either.
Yeah, wait till we get his final episode. Then it's like, oh, well, yeah.
No!
Don't clip that. Don't clip that. Use it as trial years later.
Ow, it hurts to laugh.
Yeah. I already have 2 friends that documentary crews could go, and just no matter what the documentary would be, even if it was praising me for my work, they would just be there going, he always had a darkness inside. That's something they promised to do. So I need to contain a lack of notoriety.
Wait till they see he was Kanar. There's that darkness inside of you.
Oh, that should be behind the scenes. Be like, well, he was always going to do it. The things that he does in that film, that series, it's just, it was only a matter of time.
Yep. And I wasn't even the first Kanar. Like if you see the prequel, you'll see it's a different actor. It's totally not me, and it's just the character, man. Just the character, all the character. Not like I wrote the character.
Yeah, we're in a meeting with someone who was like, "Oh, we should give Kanar some noble qualities." And they're going, "No, he's a monster." I'm caught between wanting to people to fall in love with him anyway, just for the ego trip, and for the purity of the writing, just being like, no, you're not allowed to like him or love him. You can't fix him. You can fix him if you've got a morning star. It's the kind of fix he needs.
I can't wait.
That's the thing in the Royalists. I did one thing about the villain in that, and I've said my goal here is to make a character so dark and horrible and disgusting that nobody is going to look at him and going, I can sympathize or empathize with him. And I just had one writer just get back to me and went, you're never going to do it. It's like, I know, yeah. But it's
No,
good to
you're
have
not.
goals. Yeah.
I happen to love the dark characters the most
Yeah.
because because you need a good villain in order to have a good story. Like you have to have a good protagonist
Yeah.
and a good antagonist. And if you're missing it from either of those, then it's gonna flop. And it's like you can love to hate someone so much, but there's always that little bit of you. It's like, well, if I was in this situation, would I do the same thing? And I think that's where it like mostly stems from.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's going to be the worrying thing about writing Kanar, where I really don't want to be writing him and then recognizing myself in him, because that's, I mean, yeah, like in the prequel novels, Siegfried and Caleb, and probably like a bit of Augustine as well, they get like, obviously I'm writing them, they get a bit of me in them, and I'm like, I'm fine with that. But it's when it's even Marco gets some of me in there, and yeah, thankfully Mage Bane, there's less of that because it's quite dark. But yeah, it's writing villains is fun, and I love writing heroes as well. But and doing interesting things with them. But yeah, it's some of the villains we have lined up. We can't say too much about, but I think there's one where I just sent you a clip of a wrestling match, and just which I do way too much as well. But yeah, it was Gunther from WWE, and he was just wrecking someone. And I went, "This is how I envision just him in any fight with anybody," and it's just road killing them. And yeah,
I cannot
wait to like when we get to those like fight scenes that we have planned, and I get to like talk to Kyle, fight coordinator, and just being like, I have so many ways this can flow into the narrative of these characters in the story. Let us talk at length about it, because I love writing fight scenes as well. Like that is my favorite thing to do. And there are some fight scenes in those books, and there's going to be some fight scenes in the film and series.
Yeah. And it was funny because the first time I had the thought about you being Kanar was when I heard of you doing Krav like every week. That's when my first thought was, well, you're a writer, you're doing Krav. I don't have anybody. You have similar to the accent that I'm looking for. It's like,
Whatever this accent is.
It works.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, to be fair, I get told I have like an accent that's half one thing, half the other. So the idea of playing a character that's one soul inside someone else's body is oddly fitting. So that was some good literary stuff there. But yeah, every Thursday I do Krav. And I think this Thursday we eventually got on a call when I was driving back from it, and you could just hear the exhaustion in my voice.
Oh, yeah.
2
I
hours.
can't even remember what that was about.
That was acting, like some of the actors.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Just a casting
okay,
thing.
I remember.
And
yeah.
And then, so yeah, I was responding to that while driving through Newcastle city centre, absolutely dog tired after 2 hours of just gouging eyes.
Yes. I need to get back into martial arts. I have to learn a new martial arts style for Mira. And yeah, that's going to be fun.
Because Mira gets a fight scene in Mage Bane.
The film. And the film.
Oh, yeah, the film as well.
Yeah, I have to learn judo, so like I have to do a lot of throws. That's another thing too. Like I have to keep in mind when we write for that specific character is the fact that because I personally know like Aikido and karate and jujitsu. Like I started learning jujitsu, but like I've never done judo, but it's so similar to the styles that I'm already using. But I need to remember that for when I start working on the character, because I am the character for a good chunk of it. So it's like I need to remember that that's the fighting style we want to go with, and not just like have my martial arts instincts kick in and do whatever style I have.
Yeah. I mean, writing fight scenes and threading them into the narrative and also into character is one of the things I love the most. And it's why I do a lot of medieval fantasy. Though I have some like, my future plans do also circulate around sci-fi, which is, I mean, it is a version of fantasy just with a different kind of set of tropes. and conventions and things, but they're obviously so close. But yeah, I actually promised at one point on Instagram I was going to do like wrestling matches you should watch if you want to learn, like, improve at writing fight scenes, because that is, and it's not the only fight scene education I've had, but it's been a really good part of it because those boys and girls are out there like literally making fighting a story. So that's incredible.
And another
I
good
was so
one's
excited about
gymnastics.
Misfits. Mm.
Gymnastics is definitely another good one to learn a little bit about, because then you're learning how to dodge a lot. Like it is showy, but you learn so much about your body and movement and stuff and how to get away from attacks. So it's definitely something to study as well.
I remember doing one class, we were doing Krav Maga a few weeks ago, and I had learned later, and I'm glad it worked out this way, but they did medieval sword fighting at the same place at the same time. And I didn't know that when I signed up to do Krav Maga. And then I saw the banner 2 weeks later, and I remember thinking, oh, I might have done that because you're writing medieval fantasy, you're working on this show. And, but those 2 weeks, I loved Krav Maga so much. So I was like, I am sticking with this. I need to get better at this. I love it. But there was one thing where we were getting ready and stretching out, and then we saw the people from that class going to the store cupboard, which was in view of where we were training, and they got out a bunch of swords and pikes and halberds and armor that should not be in a PE cupboard, and we were just staring at it, just going, "Oh, can we fight them?" And then
Heck yeah.
possibly nick their stuff. Because yeah, so at some point I do want to do like learn like medieval sword fighting, because again that's a huge learning experience and cool as hell. And
Yeah.
in, I think it's in Finland, they get PhDs, graduates get swords when they graduate. So I've said the thing I want to do is go on one of those trips where you do blacksmithing and you smith your own sword. So I want to at some point make my own PhD sword just to be extra about it.
Is that where you got the inspiration for the lad?
Yeah, actually. Um,
Oh, we won't get into
I mean,
that. Sorry, that's my bad.
I like smithing. I like sort of smithing scenes anyway. There's a lot of cool smith characters in fiction. Like, I mean, God, if yeah, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms has got Steely Pate, who's there for a couple of episodes, but he's fantastic. I mean, everything about that show is fantastic, but he's fantastic. And yeah, I had to research a lot about blacksmithing for something. So, and I just got the thing of making my own sword. Just seems appropriately over the top and a fun, cool thing to do. So, it's on the bucket list. I want to do it, and then at just some point, hang it in the living room where the kids can't reach it.
Yeah, I agree. Kids, well, like my kids, I don't have to worry about it because they're all pretty much adults. But like when they were younger, I just like I have like this collection of daggers and throwing stars and swords and everything else that's sharp and or breakable. It's like, what am I gonna do with it all? But yeah, I think that's pretty much what we have time for. But is there anything else you want to say before we head out?
Just to really, yeah, like boost Amalia. It's one of the coolest things I've ever worked on, with a incredible cast, brilliant crew, and a fantastic story behind it. I've been really lucky to be a part of it and get to work on the novels and stuff as well. And I also know the entire story, so I can tell you that it's something you do really want to get excited about, because we've got most of it planned out. And yeah, some people on the cast know as well, and they're extremely excited and not allowed to tell anybody.
The problem
But
is like you guys like so I was telling this with Stefan with the last live that we did. Um the actors and everybody else have maybe 5 to 10%. The co-creators have about
mhm,
25. You have close to 50. Like you don't
yeah,
know even half the stuff that's because it's not like all like once we get to that point I'll be able to talk about it more. But like my brain is so jumbled, like it's hard to like laser focus and give you guys all the details, which is usually like when you guys randomly ask me questions, I know the answer almost right away. But it's just like, but it's stuff that you guys, I didn't get around to telling you guys yet.
I remember once asking you, well, what's happening in season 2? And you gave me a couple of things and, oh, what else? And you went, what do you think you're here for? Which was a great moment. We've got season 2 sorted, season 3 sorted.
I know how I want them to start. I know how I want them
Yeah.
to end. I know a lot of the key points, and then I know stuff from their backstories. It's like that's what the writers are here for. The rest of it, like the in between, like I can tell you, like this will not work because it will affect this. But other than that,
Yeah.
it's like no, I need help filling in the gaps. And I was just telling him too, like the 6 leads for the series, the 5 protagonists and Cedric were all crafted from the beginning. Ichabod was crafted from the beginning. Augustine, like all the key players, like were characters I already had. But I was like, you came up with Marco, you came up with Tomas, you came up with Elias, you came up with Raphael, essentially. And it's like all of these characters that are like getting so integral in it. It's like the world is open enough where you guys understand it enough where we can like incorporate your guys' ideas almost
Mm.
seamlessly, which is kind of crazy how seamless most of them are.
I mean, yeah, writing for it, especially with the novels, it has become a living, breathing space. And the point we're writing, me and Justine are writing folk music and songs about the imaginary places in this imaginary world with its imaginary characters, and like we've got content, like we've got songs about this stuff that has happened or will happen in our imagination. So yeah, it
And
feels
all
like
the
a real
religious
world.
stuff. Like
Oh
everybody's
god, yeah.
like Heaven and her team are working on Ranthus, and they have come with to us with
Mm,
so much. Because like Ranthus, I did not do much of. I came up the idea with the antagonist. I didn't have the name or anything else like that. I just knew that I wanted to call it the Jade Empire. That's all I had. I gave that information to my friend Mickey, who pretty much made Ranthus, and then he had to step away from the project, and I gave all what little notes I had from Ranthus to Heaven, and then we hired her team, and then they've just been expanding it so much, and it's so
mm.
rich, and I can't wait to share both of these shows with everybody. There's just so much good stuff happening.
Yeah, it is so much stuff that I think some stuff people haven't seen before in fantasy. Um, yeah, like there is stuff I haven't seen before, and I like to think I've read quite a bit of fantasy. Um, so yeah, it's and the characters, like I say, the world is. It feels like a living, breathing, populated place. I've got a map of it on my laptop, so I can like. There's one thing I have to fix in Magebane where I think I've sent Cedric and Siegfried marching in entirely the opposite direction. So that's like a one-word change, but we really need to change it because otherwise they're heading the wrong way. But the characters are all incredible. Like they are vivid people. They've got backstories. Like Augustine is so much fun. Siegfried with his backstory is, I mean, as I said, out of the main characters, he's my favorite. Um, just because of the stuff you can do with him. But yeah,
Ashton's my
writing about it's
cinnamon
so much
roll.
fun.
So my daughter Taya and I, we watched like Ruby and stuff, and like she would say certain characters like Cinnamon Roll is the person that you just have to protect. One of them was Oscar Pine for the Ruby animated series. But I literally told Mikhail when I cast him as Ashton, I was like, just so you know, you are. Ashton is a cinnamon roll. He's the character that everyone loves and must protect, that will do everything to protect. At least that's how I personally feel. It's like he's going to go through so much trauma, but everyone's going to want to protect him because he's just the kindest, sweetest person that you'll meet in that pretty much entire realm.
And you've got Siegfried, who's like his dark psycho brother, big
Yeah.
brother.
Uh,
Uh,
Best friends for life.
yeah. I mean, I think at some point when we start the series, there was the plan they possibly both have songs written about them of what happens in the prequel novels because the people will make a song about anything and they don't like having them sung because it's like it's a horrible reminder of horrible things.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Ashton's past is pretty bad, so is
Mm.
Siegfried's.
I still get
Poor
to write
guys.
his tragic past. That'll be fun.
Hmm Yes, and I will help you with that one because that one I have
Yeah.
pretty much down pat on that one.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
anyways,
well,
well, thank you
I think
guys so
that plus
much for
the
tuning in.
yeah, it's been fun. Like all of our meetings and everything, it is overrun probably, but it's been fun talking.
We block in like 4 hours and we end up talking for like six sometimes.
Yeah. At some point, we
Sometimes we
will
lose track of time.
actually. At some point, we will have finally said everything we can possibly say to each other, and I don't know what we do then, but I assume possibly the heat death of the universe. So we'll be fine.
We'll get some Discworld shit there.
Yeah, that's fine. Awesome. Well, it's been fantastic being here and talking about all the projects, but especially Amalia.
Yes. And again, the backer key link is there. You can find us on social media. If you go to the link tree for Amalia Chronicles, you'll be able to find all the show stuff. If you go to Kyleen McHenry's link tree, you'll find all of my stuff. And then I did put David's Instagram link on there, David Kain Writer, on pretty much all his socials, including now YouTube. Ha!
You finally did it for me.
Yeah, I'm like this. The whole first month is just me. After that, it's all him. But the first month, because I'm already posting it anyway.
But yeah, I do, like book trailers, book snippets, some stuff for the show, and also writing advice. So if you ever want to request any writing advice on any topic, I am more than happy to learn about it myself if I need to, and then create a fun little reel about it. But
And also
yeah,
screenwriter for hire. Just saying,
mm,
screenwriter for hire.
yeah, love working with any filmmakers. I'm working with some incredible ones now on some Roman stuff and stuff with druids. And also, there was like a King Arthur style project as well. So I love working on anything. So any genre, anything, I will happily do. So if you need a screenwriter, I love doing it and we'll do it.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.